Hey everybody, welcome back inside another exciting episode of The Stash Report from The Stash Project. Today is April 22nd, 2019, and we have, kit releases. Basically, there's not a whole heck of a lot of new stuff being announced right now. Obviously, everything was pre-orderable for Shizuka, so there's not going to be any, new kit announcements for a little while. Basically, we're set up through June-ish for most companies, so, unless some people decide to do some spot runs of stuff here and there, I wouldn't expect a whole lot of new kit announcements for the next several videos, really. Possibly none at all next month. There's a good chance. It depends on whether or not some people are pushing out July stuff ahead of schedule. But we have June stuff and June, July stuff for a lot of the companies. I would expect Hasegawa will probably announce a few more things for July just to sort of fill out their slate a little bit, since they only have like 2 or 3 kits in July. And then, the bulk of Aoshima's stuff that they announced at the show is all July. We would need like Fujimi's July stuff and things like that, but not. There's got to be a whole terrible lot of stuff going on, probably until June, when you start going out a little further into the summer. But be that as it may, we do have kit releases this week. A couple of domestic kits, as well as the rest of it being overseas stuff. One thing we'll talk about real quick here, as I try out a new setup as far as how I laid my office out, so to speak, down here, because I have my laptop on my bench, and it eats a great deal of my bench. So now I've moved my laptop off the side onto a rolling set of drawers that I'm going to keep my work in progresses in, and my laptop on top of it. It seems to be working out all right. So first up is this. This is the next 5 sets of decals that Frankie's doing out of SK. They are from top to bottom the 2018 Schnitzer Motorsports car for the 2018 VLN series, which is the German specific series that runs only at the Nürburgring. It supports a couple of other sets of decals that he's done in the past, sort of evolution. The second car down there is the the 2 team cars that ran the 2017 Macau FIA GT race. So that'll be the last of the 2017 Macau cars that needed to be done. I realize we just did the 2018 cars, but that's the last of the 2017 ones. The middle car there, the total court sponsor car, is your winning car from the 2018 24 Hours of Spa. The white car below it is also, both those are team BMW Walkenhorst teams. The white car with the Nürburgring all over it is the 2018 Walkenhorst VLN car. So it is basically that top car's Nürburgring specific German series sibling, if you will. And then the bottom car there is the 2017 Rahal Letterman GTLM, or I guess what technically that is. I'm trying to think of the divisions, how the IMSA classes and the actual Le Mans series classes are slightly different as to what they call them, but I believe it's GTE. Yeah, I guess it would be GTE, because GTD is the GT3 class. So it's the GTE BMW M6 Rahal Letterman car. That's sort of a placeholder. He's not doing that exact set of decals in terms as to what the actual livery is going to look like. He's doing a slightly different version from a different race, but it'll be that overall BMW tricolor paint layout. It'll just be some different associate sponsorships and things like that. And pretty much the GTE and the GT3 class cars are almost the same as far as what they look like. There's just one less front canard on the GTE cars for some reason. Of course, 2018, 2019, that became the BMW M8, which we will get out of Hobby Nunu next year. So that is it for sort of pre-announcement type of deals. Actually, I take that back. There are 3 domestic kit releases this week. We'll start over at round 2. They have one last release for this month, and it is this Polar Lights Batmobile with the Batman and Robin figures included. Back in 2011, you may recall, they created the new Tool Batmobiles. There's a Snap-Tight version, which is what this is a reissue of, and then there's a full detail glue version. After the kits were released originally, the Snap-Tight version got figures added to it, which I believe it has carried through ever since. It's had 2 or 3 reissues since 2011. I don't believe that it has not come with a figure since then. But at any rate, that's back out. Like I said, it's the Snapdragon version, doesn't have the engine or anything else like that. The glue one is like full detail and has an engine and transmission or engine and suspension and stuff like that. The Snapdragon kit obviously much more basic than that. So that's back out for anybody who happens to be interested in that. An interesting thing that showed up for somebody at Hobby Lobby was this. So this kit's out now and is the U.S. reboxing of the Porsche Diesel Junior 108 tractor. Uh, Knew this was coming. We just talked about this last week as far as the kits that were being shown at Milwaukee NNL and what Revell is doing for this year. This was announced back before the bankruptcy last spring, actually really the end of 2017, because this was supposed to be a first quarter release for 2018. I honestly thought if anything was going to die, quote unquote, with the sale of Revell, it would be the reboxing of this, because I figured that Revell under a single ownership would just issue a bunch of the German boxing versions if they needed to. Like if they needed to supply the United States some more, they would just do some more German boxings. But on the other hand, I suppose that being that kits were supposed to be released early in 2018, these boxes and the decals and the instructions and everything were probably already printed. And it was just a matter of running off the kit and having it done here. Because if you look at how this kit's done, it's like it's molded in Poland. The boxes are from China. The decals are from Italy, and it's boxed up in the United States, which is how reboxes of Revell Germany stuff have been done forever. So nothing new about that. But like I said, the boxes were probably already printed. $22.99, by the way, is overpriced. The MSRP on these is $20. So it looks like Hobby Lobby tipped the price up a couple of bucks to try to counteract the 40% off coupon a little bit, because with 40% off $22.99, that's still $13.90, and 20% off like $20 would have been around $10. And I'm guessing that these kits are wholesaling for around $10, so they got to make their money even on the 40% off coupon. No objections, but I just thought it was, I paid $25 or $26 for my Revell Germany one through Hobby Link Japan, so I don't feel too terribly bad about it. But I'm sure this, like I said, it's gonna be a $13, $14 kit in reality at most places, most hobby shops that aren't trying to screw you over. And then there's one last domestic release for this week, and it is this. It is Buddy Baker's 1978 Chevy Monte Carlo, the Circus Hotel and Casino livery from Salvino SJR. I so desperately, terribly want to love this kit just because I like this livery. We were talking about this on our live. Well, actually, no. We've been doing hangouts. We haven't put them live. I keep saying I want to do the live stream we had last night. And you guys are all going to be like, what live stream you had last night? You weren't live last night. You keep saying you're going to be live, but you don't actually put it live. And it's just become a thing of trying to get everybody in the room at one time with our hangouts. Everybody gets there, but usually it's about an hour and a half after I say it's going to start. And by that time, it's like, all right, well, I got to go to work tomorrow, and everybody starts wandering off. So we'll eventually get back to doing actual live streams. But we're talking about this on our hangout that was not actually live to anybody besides us. But that like Circus Hotel and Casino, I don't even think that hotel exists anymore. I think it's one of the things that got torn down and rebuilt, maybe. But it's such a great period livery of the 1970s. But I can't love the kit that it's on. I was looking at a few of them that have been built recently on forums, and it's like if you leave it alone, it looks like just unfortunate mess that it is, or you can really just go all out and try to fix everything that's wrong with it. And somebody's been doing that for like 2-3 months now, and they're still not even ready to put paint on it. So yeah, it's one of those. It's an unfortunate situation for a kit that costs as much as it does for it to be as bad as it is in 2019. But it is what it is in that sense. So everything else is going to be overseas. We have a couple of legitly sort of new, if you will. I mean, everything pretty much is reissues that I'm looking at here, but there's a couple of things that are new boxings or long ago and far aways, as I call them, when they reissue something that has been out for a while. So Ebro, the last of the Ebro kits that have been drug around for the last 2 years is out, and that is the reissue of the Renault 4 Forgaday as the Renault service truck. As you can see here, it's going to have a portrait-style box art. I mean, I could have dumped it on its side, I suppose, just for the ease of viewing, but you have the three different Renault 4 liveries that you can do this in. The top one, the one that's upside down, is the livery that came with the kit originally when they released it several years ago. The bottom one, those decals are new, and then the one that's on the side, that sign that's on the top, that little Renault sign that's on the top, is new tooling specific to this release, and that's why this is new. And that set of decals with the Renault service thing, also slightly different than the other two, so those decals are new as well. So, otherwise, the kit builds the same as it always does. You can choose an early version, a late version, full detail. It has an engine and all that stuff. So it's a nice kit, all told. And as I said, this one, adds that roof sign to that one, and that's it. I wonder how many of those in reality got taken off by like low overpasses in real life, if that was a thing. Let's see here. Aoshima stuff is all pretty much reissues, so we'll wait on that. And then Hasegawa had a couple of things. One's a straight restock, and that is this. It is the 1994 Subaru WRX Impreza. It's just what it is, a four-door street version of their rally car kit. Dialex Productions, which is in the Ukraine, run by the guy who used to do the 3D design for Ukrainian scale car productions, just released a left-hand drive conversion for this kit. So that's, if you're interested in that and you're willing to spend a couple of bucks, there's a way to convert that to left-hand drive finally, because it does not come with that in the box. And then a reissue also, but one that has been out for a while, is this. It is the Lancia 037 Rally, the Jolly Club team. It's a sort of a privateer team that ran. Actually, I think Jolly Club was technically a semi-works team, not a privateer. But this represents we could do two different rallies with this. You could do the 1984 Portugal Rally, or the 1984 Tour de Corse, or the 1985 Portugal Rally. Both of those rallies, this car with this team finished second in both of them. For people who want to build the Tour de Corse version, this would be the car that finishes behind the Martini liveried Tour de Corse car that they reissued a while back. The unfortunate thing about this, I found out, as far as the Tour de Corse livery, and it's the same for the Martini sponsored one, it's the same for the Chardonnay sponsored one, because that's another 84 Tour de Corse livery Hasegawa kit, is there is, and you may recall if you're really, really up on watching every single video we do, the 1984 Tour de Corse had a Rothmans sponsorship to the door placard itself. And the way Belkits tackled that was to give you the door placard with the little blue field blank, and then a tiny, tiny little white words of Rothmans, separated but not backwards, like the Mansroth Italeri Escort. And you obviously just put the Rothmans, thing onto the placard, and ta-da! Ew, cigarette sponsorship. But I think what is very funny about the Martini liveried one, of course, is that's Martini and Rossi alcohol. You can have the alcohol sponsorship, but you can't have little tiny words of Rothmans. So this car, the Jolly Club, the I keep pointing over my shoulder because it's right behind me. I don't know if it's on in camera frame or not, but the Martini liveried one and the Chardonnay one all have little blue rectangles where the Rothmans logo should go, but they don't actually have the words Rothmans. And the only real solution to that, because apparently nobody ever did the actual, like a teeny tiny fill-in sheet for that problem, is to use cannibalized the top of that little top of the decal sheet from the Tour de Corse Opel Manta from Belkits. That's a really expensive way to fix these decals, because that's a $60 model kit. I will say the caveat to that being at this point that there are something like 10 or 12 aftermarket liveries for the Opel Manta. So, you probably, if you're not even going to build the Tour de Corse, then you don't need the decals in the first place. But, if you want to build the 037s correctly, and you want to build a bunch of Opel Mantas, the easiest way to do that, of course, would be just buy the Opel Mantas that are for the Tour de Corse. Both those Opel Mantas are the exact same kit inside. The only difference is the decals. And then you get yourself a supply of little Rothman letters to put onto the cars. Other than the Portugal Rally is complete because it wasn't sponsored by, it was actually sponsored by a wine company, but it's in Portuguese, so I guess they figured no one will realize that. But be that as it may, that kit has been released and has been out for about 10 years. And then the modified reissue for this month from Hasegawa is this, the late version, the 1976 Mitsubishi Galant GTO 2000 GSR. So this kit got a bunch of new parts, mostly in the front grille and rear fascia area. It's a completely new front grille, and then it has new front and rear bumpers with bumper guards. Apparently, the bumper guards were a safety innovation, as the way the literature reads, but were required by Japanese law in 1976. So they got added to this kit. There are a couple other little bits and pieces that are new to this. I think there's a new steering wheel and stuff like that. Obviously, new decal package with the GSR thing in reverse, so you can tell what's coming up on you from behind. And that probably is the last of these, I would say. I mean, they may have something else up their sleeve. Maybe there's a race version of it that I'm not aware of. But for the most part, that should be the last of the Gallants. That'll be, what, 3 or 4 of those. So that will probably fade off into its sunset retirement now that the Starlet will become the next new tool that gets played around with a lot. And that is that. There are 2 Fujimi reissues. These are kind of sort of new in the sense that they're reboxes. First up is the Nissan Gloria Cedric Turbo Brougham VIP Y30, the Y30 being the designation of the chassis platform. These are 1984s as far as that goes. They are really basic, formerly motorized kits, so the chassis is nothing to look at. The interior builds up off the chassis pan itself. Um, the one unique thing, I guess, about these kits that they have going for them in this release is they included a great big runner. It's probably about this big that has all 4 of the different sort of aero discs that these Glorias and Centrics have come with over the years. So it's got the Porsche, the Impal, a mesh style one, and something else. I can't remember what all 4 of them are off the top of my head. I wrote it down, but be as it may, it's the first time that all 4 of those have been in a box at the same time. So that's sort of the selling point of this. Is if you want a set of aero discs on your wheels, this will be the way to go about it. You don't have to put the big front air dams on it. They will build as a factory stock turbo Brougham. I'm trying to think of what exactly they. I guess this is technically speaking something they haven't reissued yet because I'm looking over at my stuff and they did the Y31s over the last 18 months. So the Y30s are a new reissue for them. They are, again, really old in the sense of Fujimi kits, so they're not particularly fantastic. They make a good shelf model, but that's pretty much it. And then also this week, you got the Toyota Supra 3.0 GT Turbo A. And the significant thing about this is it has that big, goofy wing on the back of it. That was the selling point to this reissue, because the 3.0 GT Turbo A has been reissued in the Tohei Mountain Pass series not too terribly long ago. But the one with a wing, I don't think that's been reissued in probably 15 years. So you get the big, goofy rear wing, and that's pretty much it. Otherwise, it builds a just flat factory stock Supra. It does have the ability in this to either cut the headlight doors open and then pose the headlights up, or you can get sort of the inset headlight look. That's also an option here, where you put the headlight bucket in, and then there's a clear piece of like plexiglass that goes over the lights. It's sort of the Armenia RX-7 look. That's an option that's in this that I don't believe is in the other ones. It does have left-hand drive in terms of the interior. It also gives you the option of having a manual or an automatic transmission in the center console, but it does not have like left-hand drive wipers. So it's left-hand drive with right-hand drive wipers. It's what Fujimi does. They would do these semi-conversions to sell these kits to the United States, but they weren't really complete conversions. This again is another really old kit in the sense of like its base, its originality, if you will. Motorized chassis. There's actually a battery box included in the parts runners for this, so this is like a really old motorized kit kind of deal, but it's back out, and if you want that big goofy rear wing on the back, yes, and if you look close enough, there were 2 rear wings. It's the rear lip spoiler and that great big goofy rear wing mounted at the same time. How very Rocket Bunny version 3 of them. But yeah, it's back out. It's hard to say. Try to be positive, but it's hard to say anything nice about kits that are that old. And then Aoshima here, we've got a bunch of stuff that's going to be factory restocks. 2 kits that are long ago, far away reissues, and they are the More Grand Champions kits for this month. And they are the 430 Gloria. Speaking of a Gloria, this would be the previous generation, before the Y30, the 430. So you get the Mach 1 wheels here. Doesn't really look too bad lowered. I put a different set of wheels on it, but I like that color. And it looks good in that stance. But you get some air dams and some air spoilers and a rear spoiler and some front chin lip spoiler, side ground effects. I keep saying side ground effects. Yes, of course, ground effects on the side. But just a few bolt-on parts there, basically, if you will, to give it a little different flavor than the factory stock 430. But that's back out, and then the other kit that is out from the More Grand Champions is the liftback version. It's just the 1600 GT, I think that's what it is. Or I think the liftback 1600 GT. The other one's 1800, but it's an engine size thing. This includes like a clear thing for the headlights, obviously a sort of a wraparound chin lip spoiler, some rear wheel spats, a bigger rear spoiler. Looks like Dish Watanabe wheels on this. Those little bullet fender mirrors. Again, not a bad look for a car. These are more Grand Champions, not nearly as wild as the Grand Champion Series was, but those are back out, both those two. And then everything else that I'm going to show you here real quick are just restocks. So we have the reissue of the JZX90 Mark II, either in your Mark II Grande or your not, if you will. One has the the rear spoiler and the 6 spokes, and the other one's more factory stock version. So that's back out there, and then you have a reissue of both of the Rocket Buddy Toyota 86 kits. So this, of course, the Volk Racing version, the black car. For anybody who's new to the channel, maybe doesn't realize these kits exist, you can build these. They are, in fact, very amusingly, when they built these cars, they were Scions, not Toyotas, because the Toyota 86 was so popular in Japan at the time. When Rocket Bunny and Greddy wanted to put these cars together, they could not actually get Toyotas. So they had to come to California, buy 2 Scions, and ship them back to Japan. So technically, these cars are left-hand drive. That's why they're left-hand drive in the pictures. If you have these kids and ever wondered why. And there are 2 sets of decals for this. There is this livery that's on the box art, and then there's a more Japanese version, if you will, that they did afterwards when they finally got an actual right-hand drive Toyota 86. But yes, you can build these kits as Scions, as Euro spec GT86s, as well as just a Toyota 86 Japanese spec, because these cars are the 2012s, and back then Scion was still a thing. So that's been reissued, and then the Enki Racing version, which is the red version, it's been reissued as well. And if you really pay attention, that's also a left-hand drive car, because again, it is a Scion, not a Toyota. So both of those kids are back out there, always good sellers. I don't know exactly. You would think that you would come to a point where everyone who wanted one has one, but I guess at this point, still no. And then a couple of Lamborghinis were reissued this month. Reissue of their Lamborghini Countach LP400, which of course is 1970s first gen Countach. And then they also reissued their Walter Wolf version 1 Countach, which is sort of a modified version of the LP400. There's a whole story behind that. Look it up on your own time. It does include seatbelt detail and a couple of pieces of photo etch, and then the actual photo etch, which is really specific to the LP 400, but some of the parts will fit on the other ones. Also got reissued, so that is back out as well. If you look at the mesh and things like that, it doesn't really fit on any of the 5000 Quattrofold bodies. It only really fits the LP400. And all those Countach kits, for people who don't realize, are... I sit here and scroll through, make sure I didn't miss anything. Looks all good to me. All of those Countach kits are pretty new. They started those kits in 2014 when they did 3D scans of the cars at the Lamborghini factory. People who watch this channel for a really long time may recall that they were making trips to Lamborghini every year when they were doing the Aventador and the Sesto Elemento and all those things like that, and doing reveal videos at the museum and stuff like that. So all that got started with this line of Countach kits. So that pretty much wraps it up. One other thing, and I'm not showing it to you because it was just a blurb of text about the vehicle. The next time it comes up and there's actually pictures, I'll show them to you. We got a newsletter from Revell of Germany, or the German division of Revell at this point, however they want to look at it. And it was about the new tool Land Rover. They talked about basically the history of the Land Rover and this, that, and the other thing. One of the things it did say on the blurb was, subscribe here to get our newsletter. Part two, we will talk more about the kit development and show you the vehicle that we 3D scanned. So at least the German guys, for their new tools, are using 3D scans. So that is a market improvement. I'm guessing because of the abortion that the Panamera turned into, where it's got half of a very high dollar self-driving autonomous driving feature, but only half of it. At some point, they decided they weren't going to do that whole thing, and they left part of it engraved and part of it not. So you have to fix the bumpers on the kit in order to not have those things on there. Which that was the first kit that was going to be tooled and ran and manufactured entirely in Poland. They're not going to tool their stuff in China anymore, and the end result was not particularly spectacular. So I'm very interested to see where the Land Rover is going to get tooled. Hopefully, 3D scanning it will help no matter where it's tooled. And it is going to be a Land Rover 109. It is a 4-door station wagon version, so it's not a 2-door. And it clearly, being a LR 109 4-door, it's not the Italeri SE kit. It's not the Monogram kit. Again, for about the 10 bajillion time, the Monogram kit doesn't exist anymore. The tooling for that legitimately was scrapped because of some reason or another. If you go dig around on the internet, you'll find the stories from the people at Monogram who confirm that was destroyed back in the 90s, basically. So that kit's gone. If you find one cheap, go buy one because you ain't going to get a reissue of it ever. But yeah, a lot of people who keep insisting that's not a new tool, but it is. And next time they release a newsletter, if it has, like I said, has pictures like they said they will, we'll prove it right here on the channel that it's not a reissue. So anyway, guys, hope you had a great Easter. If you celebrate that type of thing, Zombie Jesus Appreciation Day if you didn't. And it seems to be turning into second Christmas. Oh my goodness, the people's Easter baskets. I mean, we got the kids' Easter baskets too, but they were, relatively subdued and calm. Some of these people are turning Easter into second Christmas. So, you see all, and not to get into a religious tangent or anything else like that, just a humorous, thing that I find funny is that, everybody's, oh, Jesus is the reason for the season around Christmas time. And now you've turned, the other big Jesus holiday, as it were, into another Christmas. Yeah, you're totally missing the point on both ends. So, guys, again, hope you had a great weekend, and we'll see you guys on the other side.